Welcome to One on One. I'm Greg Bass, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's always a big day here at PAC 14. It's a big day because we have Brian Newton with us from WorWic Community College. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I think if you was the new guy in town, but it's like 3 years.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 years and a couple of weeks here. I was told the honeymoon was 3 years, so we're almost past the 3 years here.
We do everything slower here on the shore, so
Yeah,
maybe,
right.
maybe you get a longer honeymoon that way.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But tell us what you do at WorWic. You're like a big guy over there.
Yeah, sure. I'm the Vice President for Enrollment Management and Student Services, and so that's a long title for a lot of things.
It just means everyone calls you sir.
That's right, and I'm the person to blame if enrollment goes down, so that's
Right.
kind of the way it works, yeah. But I have responsibility for all of the front-end pieces of the college, so when a student is looking to be admitted, recruiting them, admitting them, their financial aid, their records, and then all the things that transpire to help them succeed, so all of our retention efforts and student success efforts, things like the Child Care Center, which is a support system
Right.
for them, and so yeah, that's generally it, yeah, and then anything else that Dr. Hoy wants me to do. So
Right, Dr. Hoy, who we have him on this program a lot, but I wanted to have you on the program because he gives you like the big picture, and I think he kind of cleans things up.
Right.
But you're where the rubber hits the road.
Right. I knew that Ray had been on the program many times, and so this is kind of like when whomever comes in for Tom Brady comes in as a substitute. I'm hoping it goes better than that, but yeah, that's we do all the detail work. So
No, I think our ratings will go up.
no, I doubt that, but
I really do. So being relatively new and coming into WorWic, what have you found about WorWic? What kind of community college do we have in our community?
Well, this is my third community college that I've worked as a vice president, and I was very impressed from the get-go. Very impressed with Dr. Hoy, of course, but also just the facilities and the support that we have there, the faculty and staff. And it's very impressive what's been built in a pretty short amount of time in terms of infrastructure, but really the college is fairly young. And so I think what we do a very good job of, we have a good reputation in the community. I kind of fostered over many, many years. And we have a lot that I don't think people realize to support students that many other community colleges don't have. In my first two community colleges, just for example, we didn't have a student center where you would go for a cafe and those type of support things. We didn't have a child development center to assist with child care. And so we have a lot of resources at WorWic, which I think sometimes we take for granted because they were just built in to the college as it was constructed in a fairly quick manner in terms of the on-campus WorWic. Obviously, we were a college without walls for many years, but having only really been on that campus since 1996, it's amazing what's there in terms of infrastructure and support services for students. We know we have to do a lot more, but I'm very impressed by the college, and it's interesting to have been in other systems and to have worked in a system environment and to work in this college, which is an independent community college, even though we work together
Right.
with the other community colleges in the state. So I've been very, very pleased since I've been here.
That support network is so important because I'd gone to a junior college and then I went to College Park, and there was plenty of things up there, plenty of support stuff, but somehow I missed it or I was afraid of it. So I used to study in my car between classes,
Right.
and it was really hard to get acclimated to what was going on when you're kind of isolating yourself like that. But the vibe at WorWic is completely different.
Yeah, it really is somewhat more like a four-year environment. Of
Yeah.
course, we don't have the residence halls, but I think we've learned over time, all community colleges have learned, and you're seeing this as campuses are built, that even though our students might be primarily part-time, and our students at WorWic, 74% are part-time, the reality is they still need those support structures, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. So you want to provide support services like tutoring and math and reading labs and those type of things, but you also have to provide opportunities for engagement, to get involved in activities. You have to provide study spaces, that are comfortable and kind of work for today's students in terms of technology and those type of things. We're doing a lot more of that as we go along, and I think that's the case with all community colleges. They're becoming more like four-year campuses, even if they don't have the residence environment.
Right, it's got that feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
it really
And this college in particular, just the way it's built,
Right.
the way it's laid out, when you pass it on the highway, it looks from the highway like a four-year institution.
It's a campus.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, a campus feel. And I can tell you that's not the way it always is. My first college I was at was in Indiana, and when I went for the interview, I drove past it because it was in a retail store environment, and they were just in the process of building their first building.
Right.
And even today, they still have one very large building, but it's not a campus feel like WorWic has. So.
Yeah, like you go to Del Tech in Georgetown, it looks like an old elementary school that's been reconverted, which it probably is.
Probably, yeah.
Chesapeake College looks like a mall,
Right.
but it has the right feel.
That's how many of them were built up and came up in the 60s and 70s, and now I think the campus environment is more preferred because we do have more younger students who are staying with us and, you know, looking at us more like the situation was when they were in high school, and so they're spending the day there taking classes, and they need those support services, as do the older adults who need things like childcare and maybe food service and such, so they can kind of work in the studying and the class time. So
There's a big movement now to have free community college tuition everywhere.
right, this past legislative session was really a game changer for community colleges in Maryland, and Dr. Hoy was actually in Annapolis a lot, and really you know, give him credit certainly for pushing that forward with a lot of other folks, a lot of other presidents in our Maryland Association of Community Colleges. But we will have free community college in Maryland starting in fall of 2019. We don't have a lot of the details yet. We know what was in the legislation, and it's going to be somewhat similar to what we are doing here in Wacomico County and Somerset County with the economic impact scholarship programs.
Right.
Some differences, certainly. There's an entering grade point average on the one coming next year of 2.3, and they have to maintain a 2.5, which is a little bit higher than what we had with the Wacomico and Somerset programs, and actually was something that the county council had been asking us to do, so I'm sure
Right.
they'll be pleased with that. But the income levels are higher in terms of the income caps, and you know, we really thought that was important, and you were there and heard that back and forth with
Right.
the council here in Wacomico County. We didn't have a cap in Somerset County, and we saw a really good response not having the cap, because we just know that there are, you know, middle class families who have, you know, several students in college, you know, and the lower income students are really being taken care of by the Pell Grant program, and so it's that next level
Right.
of students that needs to be taken care of. So the income cap for the new program next year for a single family is $100,000, and for a two-parent family is $150,000, and we don't know the details of the application process and how that's all going to work out. If it's a, you know, timestamp thing, we're all going to be there at, you know, 8 o'clock on some day and making sure that all these students get registered, because there's only so much money to go around with the program. The legislature allocated $15 million, which you know, with over 200,000 students going to community college in Maryland in terms of credit students, we are, you know, going to use that $15 million pretty quickly.
Right.
But in the meantime, the Wacomico program and Somerset programs continue. We have not used all of the original allocation that the
Right.
county council made, because it's just costs far less than we ever thought it was going to. And then Governor Hogan and our legislative folks were able to get funding for the Somerset program for the coming year in the budget for this year. So we are again taking another class of students in Somerset and Wacomico County, but we expect that after this year that we will then have all students going through the Maryland Promise Scholarship Program, and our hope is that we'll be able to take all those students who are in the Wacomico and Somerset programs and get them through the programs, the ones that are already enrolled in it.
My daughter right now is about to go to her second choice college. She did not get her first choice. And people are like, tell her to go to WorWic for a year and then go to her first choice.
Right.
Well, you know, when I was in college or in high school, that would be like horrible socially.
Right.
You would never
Right.
do that. But now as an adult, I'm like, That makes sense to me.
Right.
I mean, so like WorWic has a different purpose now.
Yeah, and that really is the challenge. I mean, students have expectations, and I understand it, going to college, and I ended up going to Ohio State for law school. You want to be in the big environment with the football
That's a
team and
great
the
school, yeah.
fraternities and sororities, et cetera. But given the cost that colleges and universities have these days, and what we do has transitioned from doing more career and technical education to providing that general education component that maybe wasn't as robust as it was maybe 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
And so you can come to a WorWic and you can get your English and your psychology and your math out of the way, and it's the same classes you're going to take at SU or College Park or wherever it might be, but you're going to get it at a lower cost. You're going to get it in a smaller environment. Yeah, you're going to
Have a support
get
network.
more attention. Yeah, the support network. But there is there continues to be a challenge in convincing 16, 17, 18-year-olds that their first stop should be the community college.
People like me want to be at parties and say,
right,
my daughter's at College Park.
Right. If they were all 30, 35, 40-year-olds making decisions, our enrollments would boom. But we have folks making those decisions at a younger age. It's interesting. Governor Hogan yesterday unleashed a series of proposals for higher education. And of course, it is an election year, and we understand that. But one of the proposals was to take those who are going to go through this free program, and if you complete the free community college program, then you would get your bachelor's degree program free at a Maryland college or university. So that might be an incentive, certainly, if that would get passed in the next year or coming years for parents and students to say, hey, okay, you're going to go to WorWic or another community college, and you're going to get your associate's degree completed first, and then transition to continue the free piece and keep it alive, and you're going to get your education for free. It's an interesting proposal because in some states they have decided to have all college for free, but then you have four-year colleges competing with community colleges for the same students, and this really gives an opportunity for students to get started, get the general education out of the way, do it in a smaller environment, and then transition to the 4 years. And it's an exciting proposal, so we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, I don't know of any student, if you ask them in the 9th or 10th or 11th grade, they weren't dreaming of going to WorWic or going to the community college. It's
a shame.
It's not their first choice, but I think, as you said, you look back on it later, and it just makes perfect sense in terms of cost and success. And we are experiencing some interest in the community colleges from this generation of students who are much more closer to their parents, at least more close than I was, and I think the folks that I grew up with, we couldn't wait to leave. And this generation and the way they've grown up really enjoys being at home, being with mom and dad, keeping their friends close. And a lot of them don't necessarily want to go away to college. And so we are experiencing a growth of students who find the community college attractive for that reason.
How does the dual enrollment program work for high schoolers here locally?
For high schoolers, we have dual enrollment in Wicomico, Worcester, and Somerset counties. It really starts at the high school, and it starts with your guidance counselor and having that conversation with them. And each county has its own process for approving students to go through dual enrollment. Of course, they have to show that they're college ready, whether that's through an ACT or SAT, or whether that's through their grade point average or whatever it might be, or taking our placement tests. But they go through that process, and then like any other college students, they choose their courses and attend. And we do not separate out our dual enrollment high school students from our college, our post-high school college students. And so in the classroom, you have 16 and 17-year-olds with folks who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s or older. And I think that's a good thing for those students to experience. But the process is really very easy. It's affordable. If you're a student who's been on free and reduced meals, you're going to attend for free. And we have, in the past several years, we have been paying for the fees and the books for those students. So it really is completely free, because for a student who's on free and reduced meals, if you tell them the class is free, but you got to buy the books, not going to work. So we've been doing that and been successful with that. But for the for the student who's not on free and reduced meals, they're going to pay 75%, but they're paying 75% of 90% because the school district does pay for 10% of those courses. So it's been wonderfully successful. We had 435 dual enrollment students this past year, and that continues to increase. One of the exciting things that's happening with the Wicomico system is we're working on an early college program with them, and this will allow students to start their courses toward a degree in the 9th and 10th grades, and then at the 11th grade, they will come to us full time. And so we are working to try and get that started as soon as this fall. There is interest from students in Wicomico County. The first 2 degrees we're talking about are a computer studies degree and a gaming degree, but that will be
a gaming degree. There's been a lot of conversation about that. See, I would never think to offer a program like that.
Right.
It just shows that you guys are thinking about what's needed in the community and offering it.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are things that students want, and the community is telling us they want, and employers. There are jobs for these things, and so, but we will be in a situation once this gets up and running where students end their high school attendance essentially after the 10th grade, and those last 2 years they'll be fully with us. And now if they want to play sports and do those things, certainly they'll do those at the high school, but that'll be interesting for us because our dual enrollment students have been take a class or 2 here and sometimes even more, but they've not really been full-time students with us, and these will be full-time students with us. So it'll be an interesting adventure. It's been done in other places. Prince George's County has a fully operating early college program. They even have a building for it on their campus, and a lot of their students come full-time starting in the 11th grade. So interesting change for us, and we've just got to consider what that means for these students who are no longer just guests with us. They are, really there full-time. So
one of the things I thought when they built the campus out on the highway and away from town, I thought they're going to be isolated out there. They're going to be not going to be part of the community. But that's just so not true. There's so much that goes on there. People go there for all the shows because the theater there is great. But what's going on there right now that I just love going out there and seeing is the camp, the summer camp that you have with those kids. Brilliant kids in there doing really cool things with computers and the 3D printing and in the kitchens with the food they make. What's it called? Camp Jordan.
Camp Jordan's for the Child Development Center. Summer Scholars is for
Summer Scholars. That's
the rising
the rocket
3rd
camp.
to 9th grade.
Yeah, it's just so amazing.
They've got everything. They've got like 45 or 50 different classes this year. Programming robots, rockets. They've got the cafe culinary. In fact, I just got an invitation to go to. They're making their dishes this afternoon, and we're all invited over to eat. Yeah, exactly. I want to play my part, so I'll be over there this afternoon with everybody else.
Someone's got to test it out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't do it for that purpose, but we got some benefits here, which is good. But yeah, it's an amazing set of courses, and it's really popular with parents and with the kids. They seem to have a good time. The campus really changes in terms of its feel.
It's like
in
more
the summer.
active almost in the summer than in the it's just amazing.
Exactly. You expect the college campus in the summer to kind of be a quiet place and such, but we have all this activity and all these kids, not only with the Summer Scholars, but you mentioned Camp Jordan, and our Child Development Center runs a camp throughout the summer, and they do all sorts of field trips, and we see them around campus doing things as well. So you've got folks from 2 years old up through 9th grade or so on campus doing all these kind of wonderful, amazing things. It's pretty neat.
What about the online world? People taking so many courses online. My son's actually at Arizona State University. He's there on campus, but he takes 3 of his 5 classes online. It makes no sense to me.
Well, you got given what you said your college experience was like, it may make a little bit of sense. He wants to have time for other things, but I think when online courses came about, we were all a little bit skeptical in terms of, is this something that's really needed? Is this going to work? Contrary to popular belief, online courses are actually harder in terms of their rigor than the classroom classes, because you're not connected necessarily every day with that instructor. And yes, you can ask questions through a technical environment and those type of things, but you just don't.
So you're saying you can't snow the instructor like I did?
Yeah, exactly. You can't fall asleep in the corner, like you and I used to do. But I think we're at the point now where it's become so commonplace campus. And we really kind of see it now as, really two reasons. One, we need to be competitive, certainly, and you see the commercials for, Southern New Hampshire and UCLA and all these organizations that are offering online courses. And so we certainly have students who we want to come to us and make it affordable for them to take online classes versus going kind of that national online route. But, I think important thing to remember is even though we feel like everything is close here, the reality is there's some long distances between our service area. A friend of mine was here recently, and we drove, through the service area, and his comment was, "Man, it's a long way from Crisfield to Ocean City," and it is. And
there's no road to get there.
There's not. We have public transportation, but the public transportation, we have students that tell us, yeah, but it's going to take me, an hour and a half to get there through public transportation. And so I think if we can offer those online opportunities, it works out well for students in terms of convenience that otherwise wouldn't be able to access us at the campus. The campus is well located, certainly. We're not that far from Ocean City and Berlin, and certainly we're accessible for Salisbury and Princess Anne and places like that.
And that was the idea. It had to be on the Worcester side of the county.
Yeah. I mean, I think, if we would have built it in Salisbury, I think, it could have been difficult. I know I live on the west side of Salisbury, and, it's 25 minutes to WorWic from there. And so having it on the main arteries out there has made a lot of sense. But online is something we're working on a lot. We're working on fully online degrees, which we really don't have now. We have a lot of online courses, but we want a student who wants to take a general education degree or some other type of degree to be able to fully access that online. And there's a lot of challenges that go with that. We have to provide the same experience for those students as the on-campus students. So not only do you have to offer the class, but you got to do things like online tutoring, online student services, online advising.
That makes sense.
That's what our accreditor requires, and rightfully so. The experience shouldn't be different. And so there's a lot of work going on at the college right now to try to get some fully online degrees up and running by the fall of 2019. So.
I just read in my favorite newspaper, the Salisbury Independent, that there's a new veteran program going on out there.
Absolutely. We're very pleased. We received a Veterans Upward Bound grant, which is $264,000 a year for 5 years. And the purpose of this grant is to help veterans access college, not only WorWic, but if they want to go to SU or College Park or wherever it might be, the idea is to get them prepared. Often, veterans are coming from an environment where they haven't been in school for a while, so getting the prep courses they need in terms of math and science and maybe English, languages, etc., and kind of getting them back in the mode of being ready for college and doing all the things in terms of support that they need in terms of financial assistance and working through their benefits, just getting them advised on the college culture versus the military culture. But it's a great grant. We're very pleased with it, and it's allowed us to do some things to expand our veteran services. The grant's 125 participants per year, which is great, but we also decided as we received the grant to take a position that we had that was working with veteran services, but not doing it full time, and to take that person and make them a director of veteran services. So we now have somebody full time at the college who's working only with veterans. Dr. Hoy, in the legislature this past spring, there was a movement to require full-time veterans directors, and also to require each college to have a veterans lounge. And so instead of waiting on any type of legislation, we just went ahead and did it. And so now we have a veterans lounge that's dedicated for folks that are in the military or who are veterans to come and relax and network with their own, with folks who are going through similar situations. Veterans sometimes have a hard time integrating into the classroom. Their experiences are different in terms of how they interact with an instructor, how they interact with other students, and so kind of building that network of support for them is very important. So we have anywhere from 250 to 350 veterans per year at WorWic, and considering some of our other community colleges in the state have less than 20, and so it's just amazing the number of veterans that we're supporting, and we have a great director, Fred Howard, who's doing wonderful things. But if there are folks out there that are thinking about going to college college, they can call this Veterans Upward Bound program, and they'll assist them in getting prepared. So.
Excellent. What's the enrollment now? How many people do you have?
We have.
I know it goes up and down all the time.
Yeah, in a year we have about 4,100 credit students. We have 10,000 students overall, of course, with credit and non-credit. Each semester, in terms of population, we had 3,100 students this past fall and spring. So it goes up and down. The economy always has something to do with it going up and down. When the economy is bad, we tend to see increased enrollment. Back in the recession days between 2008 to 2011, enrollment was booming. Enrollment now is a struggle because the economy is doing well in terms of employment, but we are seeing good results compared to our brethren across the state at the community colleges. We were the only community college in this last year that was positive in terms of our headcount, FTE, and so we weren't positive by much, but we were positive, and a lot of community colleges are seeing 5, 6, 10% dips during this time when the economy is doing pretty well. So,
two silly questions, only
Sure.
because everyone asks me all the time. What happened to the trees?
What happened to the trees? Yeah,
I'm sure you hear this all the time.
Well, I went away for vacation and I came back and the trees were gone. I'm like, wow. Well, the trees gave way to another environmentally friendly purpose, which was geothermal, and we have over 200 geothermal wells.
There's
out
all these
there.
wells there now where the trees
All
were.
those wells
Yeah.
are there. Yeah, it's wells and geese is all that's there anymore.
Right.
And in terms of an environmental decision, we know we're going to save a lot of energy over the several decades. We're already seeing results from some of these environmental decisions we've made. We also have solar panels out there now.
That's the next question.
Yeah.
How are the parking solar panels going?
Great. We're seeing a great savings already, kind of more than we expected at this early stage. And we not only have those solar panels on campus, but we're also going to have a solar farm. I think it's out on Hebron Road. So we're going to have a solar farm there that's providing energy to the campus. So the trees being gone makes the campus different. I mean, you actually see the campus
Right.
at the corner there. We always hate to cut down trees, but it was done for another environmental purpose.
So if I'm a Wycomico High School student trying to figure out what to do, thinking about WorWic, who do I go talk to first?
First place you go is admissions. We are out at the high schools all the time. We register students now at the high schools, so they don't even have to come out to campus. But yeah, if they want to contact us, 334-2800, and talk to our admissions folks, they'll be glad to help them get started on the process. I would urge them to get started, to not wait until August 31st
Right.
to come on the beginning of September. The classes are often gone. They're not prepared. The time's now. Take a little time off from the beach, come out, join us for a day, or give us a call, and we'll get you set for
And
the
you
fall
have a great
semester.
website, easy to use website.
It's a website. We actually are working on, this is kind of the bane of my existence at the moment, leading a website project, and so we will have a new website here. I told Dr. Hoy it was going to be July, but as I've told him, July is a season. So, the season may stretch a little bit here.
I like your website because it's a little bit old-fashioned, but it's very efficient.
It is.
It's not it's not a big fancy thing. It's
Old-fashioned is certainly a good word for it, yes.
Yeah, but I know where to look for stuff. I don't have to be wowed by anything.
Well, it's going to be even easier.
Okay.
Yeah, even you will be able to understand this new website. It's going to be great.
It's got a logic to it that I appreciate.
Yeah. We realize, we're in a time when, students and technology, and they want certain things, particularly the younger students. So that's kind of the way the website's moving. What our website is not great at right now is if you want to look at it on your phone or you want to look at it on your tablet. So that's a big reason why we're doing this new website, which will be done any day now if Dr. Hoy is listening. So.
He's Brian Newton from WorWic Community College. We're thrilled to have him here today. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper, another edition of One-on-One right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.